Hey, what's up guys, welcome to another retouching video. Today I just want to show you guys real quick how to actually get your images looking really good from Capture One and then take into Photoshop. So for example, this is the straight out of camera, and this right here is the Capture One edit, and this is the retouched image. You guys can see that there is quite a huge difference between the first image and then the final image, right? So let's get straight into it. Today I'll be using this particular image right here, and what we're going to do is just go through a few settings in Capture One and how I got it to look like this, and then we are going to jump into Photoshop and I'll show you exactly how to retouch the skin. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do right now is just reset this, and this is the image that I'm working with, right? Yes, this one. So I'll just click on reset, and this image has gone back to, straight out of the camera, right? For me, the first thing I want to do is come to my levels here and then just pull in my highlights. So this is like a histogram. Your levels typically just like a histogram, right? So right here you have your highlights on this side, and right here you have your shadows, and here in the middle you have your midtones, right? So what this is just saying is that this image is leaning, I would say, closely towards our our shadows, right? So what we're going to do is just drag our highlights in till we touch this red right here, saying if we go higher than this, what it's trying to tell us is that our reds will start peaking, as you can see on the image. So I'm just going to get it to this point right here. Now I'm going to drag in my shadows just to crush this a little bit. One other thing I want to do is just increase the exposure by just a little bit, just a tad little bit right here. I'll increase my exposure. I would increase my shadows too a little bit, and then one next thing I'm going to do is probably just pull my highlights down. Great. And also my whites, I'm going to drag my whites down, and the reason why I'm dragging my whites down here is just so that anything around here, as you guys can see, the highlights right here that's coming from the blue gel, what I'm doing is just making sure that nothing is clipping, right? Okay, great. So typically this is a pretty good start. Let's see our before right here, and our after, before, after, before, after. You guys can see we're doing a good job. One thing that I would like to do is just add a little bit of green to my image. So that's the tint right here. I just want to add just a tiny bit of tint to my image right here, because it was just looking a little bit too magenta, right? So let's see our before and after. Again, before, after. You guys can see that we are actually doing a pretty decent job here, right? Okay, great. So I'm going to go down to advanced, and what I want to do is just change the color of the background just a little bit. It's blue. I want it to look kind of teal, right? So now I'm just going to jump in there. Right here in the advanced, if you pick this color picker right here, then you can select any colors you want. So if I select a color, you can see it's added to this, I would say this layers right here of colors. So I'm just going to delete that and just stick with the first one. And now that I've selected this, what I'm going to do is just mess around with my hues. So I'm just going to pull my hue back to somewhere around here. That's perfect. Okay, great. So let's see what our before and after looks like. So this is our before, and this is our after. Before, after. You guys can see that we are doing a good job. We've brought them out. Yes, the image was a little bit underexposed, but look at how we've brought the skin tones back, and everything looks really good, right? Okay, great. So I'm going to come down to my three-way color corrector, and this part, the reason why I absolutely love Capture One. Like, there's so much you can do here. For my mid-tone right here, what I'm going to do is just add some warmth to my mid-tone. For my highlights, I'm just going to make my highlights just a little cooler, right? And that would combat the warmth that I've added to my midtones, and let's just see what that looks like. So this are before, and this are after. Before, after. I think we've done a pretty good job. I'm just going to check my exposure one to see if anything is overexposed, and nothing seems overly, I would say, overexposed right now. So what I'm going to do is just maybe bump this up just a little bit, and then still drag my shadows in. Okay, great. So let's see our before and our after, before, after. if we look at the other ones, pretty close. I would say it's pretty close. If anything, this just has a little bit more contrast than this. So what we can do is just add that contrast into this by, yes. I'll say this still has a little bit more contrast, but hey, we are pretty close. Another way you can add contrast to this is, I feel like this is clipping just a bit too, yes. Another way you can add some contrast to this is by coming down to your 3-way color corrector, and here, you know, you can then just, you know, like make your shadows darker, you know, bring your shadows up. But I think we'll just leave it where it is. Maybe just add some contrast to this. Not too much. We can always add contrast in Photoshop, so this is fine. Okay, so right now we are done color grading in Capture One. As you guys can see, this is our before and this is after. And what we're going to do is just take this, edit with Photoshop, use these settings right here. I always use PSD because it's just easier for me, and you know, the files aren't as big as using like a TIFF file. So let's jump into Photoshop and show you exactly what to do in Photoshop. Okay guys, so now we are in Photoshop, and the first thing I want to do is clean up the hair. So what I'm going to do is Command J, and that will duplicate the layer, right? Pick a clone stamp tool. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, just a clone stamp tool should work. Make sure that we are working on current layer, and then what we're going to do is just sample and just clean this off. We're always going to go back and fix whatever smudges that we have using our clone stamp tool, right? So just don't worry about that too much. Okay, great. So we are done with those ones here. These ones here are kind of weird though, so we'll see if we can get them out. Now, the reason why this looks a little bit weird at this corner is because there's some smoke there, because what happened was that I put some smoke during the behind the scenes just to see if it could just add some haze to the image. It didn't work out the exact way I wanted it to, but it was okay. One other thing I want to do is pick my spot healing tool and then just drag it over these places right here just to take out these strands of hair that are here. Now, like I said, you don't have to do this, but hey, it will just make the image a little cleaner. Okay, great. Now that we are done with that, we can jump into retouching the skin. To make things a little easy for me, what I'm going to do is use my actions, which I mostly use for most of my portraits. So I'm going to use my portrait retouching action in my pro retouching pack. If you haven't checked that out, definitely check it out. Trust me, it will help you retouch better, retouch faster. Definitely check it out and give it a go, you know. Okay, great. So now I'm just going to wait for this to load up, and when it's done, we are going to get into retouching the skin. Okay, great. We have this loaded up right now. Pick a brush, make sure that your flow is somewhere between 20 and 30%. And what we're going to do is just come down here to paint here, and we are just going to paint over with a white brush. Make sure that your foreground color is white, right? So we're just going to paint over with a white brush. And I'll show you guys before and after in a bit, so just bear with me. Paint over with a white brush, then same thing here. As you guys can see, I'm actually avoiding the brows and all those places. So today is one of those days that I can either decide to do frequency separation or just micro dodge and burn. But I'll do everything so you guys can see when and where to use the tools for retouching and how I'll use the tools for retouching. Okay, great. So we have this right now. Let's see what our before and after looks like. Before, after, before, after. You guys can see it's done a pretty good job, you know, just evening out everything. So before and after, right? If you want us to get like highlights back, that's very easy. All we have to do is just drag our blending in, and we have our before, after. You can see we have most of our highlights back, right? So I'm going to go to texture, pick a clone stamp tool, make sure it's on current layer. Clone stamp tool, that's S on my keyboard. Make sure it's on current layer, flows 100%. And what I want to do is just take out the tiny blemishes that are on their face. As you guys can see, it's nothing crazy. They have amazing skin, and by the way, they're both sisters. This is Atel and her sister, so can't remember the sister's name, but I'll put a link to both their Instagrams in the description below, so check it out. Okay, so we have the clone stamp tool doing its thing. I wouldn't spend as much time as I spent on the other images on this one. First things first, I already have an idea on how to get the best out of these images. That's number one. Number two, since this is for YouTube, I do not want to have any retouching video going way over 30 minutes if it's not like a live retouching session. By the way, if you guys want live retouching, just let me know and I'll do some more of that. Okay. I mean, there's quite a lot of texture on this side of the face, right? And I feel like there should be a better way to retouch this part. But hey, we'll get to that. Right here, I can see that mark right there, a few right here, just even out like the way the textures here look. This one here too, and yes, I think we've done a decent job with like removing the blemishes and just evening out the texture, because sometimes it's not just about taking out the blemishes, right? You have to just even out the texture on the face and have everything looking good and even. Okay, great. So I think we've done a pretty decent job. I'm just going to come to this part of our tail's face. Not like there's anything to see there, but because Prince just loves to make everything almost perfect. Okay, great. So we have this here and everything looks really good. That's our before, that's our after. At this point, you can do like your global dodge and burn and get out the way, but I like to go extra. So what I do is that I will create like my complete dodge and burn action. Open my invert check, the overlay. My PC is acting slow today. Open this overlay and then just drag this in so I can see more. So what I'm doing right now is just looking at the shape of the face and how light is hitting it, right? By the way, I'll pick a soft brush, check my flow all the way to 1%. And I'm just looking at how light is hitting the face, right? There are some things that I would like to change. For example, the way her face is right here, right? The problem is the way light's in her face, making this place look like it's droopy. So without the invert check layer, you can see right here. I'm trying to fix that, right? So what I'll do is go to my micro dodge and burn, and what I'll do is just dodge this area, right? And what it'll do is that it'll just give it this nice, seamless and smooth look. Nothing crazy, but look at that. Can you see? So it's removed that small shadow that was here that just makes it seem like this part of her face is droopy. We've taken that shadow out. So tiny things like that actually go a long way to help your image. So now I'm going to just burn, make sure everything is nice and even. If I want to, I can reduce right here how visible that part of our face is. Just going, so right now I'm dodging. So with the invert check layer, anywhere that you see that is bright and you actually like dodge it, that's a shadow that you're taking out. So you can see that right there. Look at that right there. I've taken some of that out. So I'm just going to zoom out so you guys can see. You can see it just makes your subject look, I would say, younger, right? Right here with my burn, I feel like this shadow right here is too much, or this highlight, right here is too much. So what I'll do is just reduce a little bit of that, just have everything looking nice and even. Okay, so now that I've reduced a little bit of that, you guys can see, I think I did a little too much there, but you get the gist, right? You get the whole grift, right? And I'll do the same thing with her face too. Right here, I can see a small patch here, so I'm just going to dodge that patch away, right? Go in here, just finish that. Just make sure that that's nice and smooth, that part of her face, So look at the before, you guys can see. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see. So right here, you can see that part. I've taken that out, right? And I could do it for other parts of her face too, And what it does is that it just gives this nice youthful look. Oh, I made a mistake there. I'm supposed to burn that part. It just gives this nice youthful look that I would say frequent separation would not give you, because frequent separation will move colors around. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with frequent separation. I think it has a time and place, So, but for here, I wouldn't actually use frequent separation unless I was in a hurry to get this to my client, because most clients will not know the difference, to be very honest, except you're working with a client that's paying you thousands of dollars, or you just have time and it's a project that you are really willing to invest a lot of time in. I would say for the most part, frequency separation will do a great job. But if you want your work to just look extra nice and a lot better, then dodge and burn should be the way to go. Okay, great. So like with this, we're not doing too much dodge and burn. You guys can see that's the before, that's the after. We've made some changes. They are definitely significant, in the grand scheme of things. They make the whole face look a lot better. So that's the before, that's the after, that's the before. I feel like the one right here that I did just a little bit too much, I can decide to just brighten that whole place back up. But you guys get the drift. So that's the before and that's the after. We can do the same thing for the body, but honestly speaking, I feel like the beauty retouch already did quite a lot and we don't want to do too much. So right now what we're going to do is just jump into micro dodge and burn, global dodge and burn, which is the opposite basically of micro dodge and burn. So pick a brush. Sometimes when I want to do my global dodge and burn, I'll turn off all my layers to see where the highlights were and how they looked. Right now we don't need this micro dodge and burn layer, so we're just going to delete that. It's not the one we used. We still have the one we used, but you guys can see the micro dodge and burn. This is how it looks. I mean, without the beauty retouch from my pro retouching pack, it looks good, but it's not doing as much as when you actually now turn on the pro retouching pack. That's just good. So the pro retouching pack with micro dodge and burn is just a joy to use, right? Okay, so right now we're just going to touch on some places that have highlights on them. Just make sure you get that nice burn going through it, right here. You can see this part of my neck. I'm not trying to be too careful. I'll go inside, I'll get the lip. This right here, I'll get that part of the lip, When it comes to global dodge and burn, I'm not as careful as I am with micro dodge and burn, I just do it and then see what it looks like, right? So don't forget to get the lip, the tiny highlights go a long way to making your image look really nice, right? If I'm right here on the eye, it's a tiny highlight there. Right here, this one's right here. They just add some nice specular highlights to your image that just take your image to a whole new level, right? So take your time with those highlights. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is turn on everything, and you guys can see we have a beautiful looking image. So that's the before and that's after. Before, after, looks good, looks original. Doesn't look like we are trying to make them look fake. So I'm going to run my eyes and teeth whitening action right now. By the way, you can get this for free, so check it out. Take my flow to 100%. This is just going to be for the eyes. So hey, I mean, you can get inside to just be a lot more precise with using it. Get inside, get there. Do I need to get this part? Hey, who knows? We'll see how it looks at the end of the day. It looks good. Okay, great. Just going to get here to. By the way, my eyes and teeth whitening actions are free, so check them out. Link will be in the description below. Check them out. Okay. Great. Looking good. So let's see what those eyes look like. You guys can see they look nice and sharp. I'll probably reduce how bright they look. Okay, great. So now I've done a decent job. So what I'm going to do is create a levels adjustment, which is my go-to when it comes to adding contrast. Drag this in and then just two is fine. You guys can see added a lot of contrast to this image. And maybe just jump into my color lookup, throw a 3D lot on it, maybe like 4. Yes, that looks great. Reduce it. That looks absolutely gorgeous. See, look at what that looks like. Look at that before, look at that after. Look at how far I've come. Come on, look at that. Simple, straight to the point, before, after. Just going to zoom in so you guys can see again, before, after. And that looks good. So at this point, a few other things I'll do is probably just jump in and liquify. So Command Option Shift and E, that'll create a stamp visible layer, and then I can jump into liquify and then just get my liquify done. So with liquify, what I'm just going to do is open liquify. You know, with her hair packed, because she has a lot of hair, it just looks pretty long. So I'm just going to reduce that. And I can come in here and liquify this part. Just bring this part back in. Right? See? Simple. Just drag those parts back in. So, yeah. And her hair does not look that long again. So I don't think I'll do anything much more. Maybe just adjust this. Yeah, this right here because of the hair too that she has packed. And yeah, for the most part, I think we're good. So yes, just take that in. And yes, I think we are good. We are definitely good to go. So from here, all I'll do is just save this, have this go back to capture one, maybe just add some grain on it, and maybe a little bit of sharpening, and then we are good. But anyways, thank you so much if you enjoyed this retouching video. If you want to retouch like this, definitely check out my pro retouching pack. Link will be in the description below. Check it out. I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Have an amazing day, guys. Peace out.